have you ever wondered about the origins of black magic and its profound impact on human civilization? What if I told you that the secrets of this ancient art have influenced history in ways you wouldn't believe? Stick around because what you're about to discover will change your understanding of sihr and its role in our world. Number 1. The origins of sihr. The history of sihr is deeply rooted and complex, influencing various cultures and societies through the ages. A significant figure in this history is the Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam. Sent by Allah, he possessed a vast kingdom and unprecedented power that no one after him would have. He had dominion over the jinn, humans, and birds, and could command the wind to swiftly take him to distant places, all by the will of Allah. Sulaiman alayhi salam discovered that the shayateen were teaching sorcery to humanity, a very powerful magic that could even cause death. He then collected all the books on sihr from the shayateen and buried them under his throne. None of the shayateen could approach the books without being burned, and anyone who practiced sihr or claimed that the jinn knew the unseen was beheaded. After Sulaiman's death and the scholars who knew the truth, Shaitan appeared in the form of a man to the children of Israel. He told them about a treasure buried under Sulaiman's throne. The people dug under the throne and found many books full of sihr. Shaitan told them that this was the true power of Sulaiman, that gave him control over the jinn, humans, and birds. He claimed that Sulaiman was a sorcerer and not a prophet of Allah. The ignorant believed him, and from that moment, Sulaiman was known among them as a sorcerer. When the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mentioned Sulaiman as a prophet, the Jews rejected this because they believed Sulaiman was a sorcerer. Allah then revealed verse 102 in Surah Al-Baqarah. Number 2. Harut and Marut. But who began teaching sihr to humanity? Allah tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 102 that two angels, Harut and Marut, were sent to Babylon, which in present day is Iraq, to teach people sihr. These angels warned the people that this was only a test and that learning sihr would make them disbelievers and take away their share in the hereafter. Despite the warnings of Harut and Marut, the knowledge of sihr spread and was misused by various groups such as satanic sects, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, and others who claimed to be followers of Sulaiman, who supposedly learned sihr from Asmodeus, the leader of the shayateen. Number 3. Early history of sihr. Many people think that sihr originated in the time of Prophet Sulaiman, but this is not the case. According to the Mufassirin and the scholars of Tariq, the history of sihr goes back to before the time of the Prophet Nuh. Here are some key points in the early history of sihr. Time of the Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. The people of Nuh called him a sorcerer. This implies that people were already familiar with the concept of a sorcerer. Allah the Exalted says in Surah Al-Dhariyat verse 52, similarly, no messenger came to those before them without being told, a magician or a madman. Time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. In the time of Ibrahim, the people of Babylon believed that the 7 stars were gods and that they controlled everything. They worshipped these stars with various sihr rituals. They used uqud and blew on them, sacrificed animals in the name of the stars, and used amulets. The Sahara, sorcerers, at that time, convinced people that their belief in the stars would give them power and protection. The Sahara gained much power from the shayateen and were feared by the people because they supposedly performed miracles such as flying and turning people into animals. Even kings followed the advice of the Sahara because they believed their power depended on worshipping the stars. Persian influences. After Babylon was conquered by the Persians, the kings of Persia came to power. They were not mushrikeen but muwahideen, and they had laws against sihr. However, they honored the four elements water, air, earth, and fire out of respect for the means of life that Allah had given them. Over time, they deviated and began to worship the sorcerer Zoroastria, which led to the emergence of the fire-worshipping Magi. Zoroastria spread sihr from Persia to India, Egypt, and other parts of the world, giving the teachings of sihr various branches and levels. Time of Fir'aun. In the time of Fir'aun, sihr was widespread and commonly practiced, and the Sahara had much power due to their assistance to Fir'aun. Allah sent His messenger Musa to show the people that sihr has no power except by Allah's will, and that they have nothing to fear. The sihr in the time of Musa mainly consisted of sihr al-takhyil, the sihr of illusion and enchanting the eyes. Allah says about the Sahara in the time of Musa, وَسَحَرُوا أَعْيُنَ النَّاسِ, and they bewitched the eyes of the people. Time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sihr was still present during the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Jewish sorcerer Lubayd ibn al-A'sam used sihr on the Prophet, and others like Ka'b ibn al-Ashraf were also mentioned. During the caliphates of Abu Bakr and Umar, sorcerers were captured and sentenced to death. To this day, sihr can be found worldwide, even in Western countries such as among the Freemasons and the Illuminati. Number 4. Severe punishments and changes in Europe. Sihr became so widespread and caused so much harm that countries like Italy, France, and Germany imposed the death penalty by burning for sorcerers. In Scotland, sorcerers were placed in a large steel vat with tar. In England and America, they were publicly hanged. And in Spain, they were tortured in special chambers until they confessed where the sihr was, and for whom and by whom it was commissioned. This was because the King of Spain discovered that his enemies also used sihr against him. In the early 18th century, the punishments were lightened from death to light imprisonment. People began to learn and practice sihr more openly, often disguised as scientific experiments. Number 5. Modern practices and influences. Sihr became increasingly popular and acquired different names. Plays and music integrated sihr rituals, and to this day it is openly practiced. In the Western world, sihr is often seen as magic and entertainment, and it is presented by Iblis's propaganda channels as a fantasy world. The film industry is full of sihr rituals, and satanic music videos and lyrics contain literal formulas and rituals of sihr, making viewers and listeners an open gateway for the shayateen. Even children are not spared, with shows and movies like those of Disney presenting sihr in a playful way. This can make children anxious, rebellious, and have trouble sleeping. There has never been an era in history where sihr was as widespread as it is now. The only protection against this evil is the law of Allah and His Sharia. May Allah flood this world with His Sharia and free us from sihr and sorcerers.